Well, when it comes to prescription drugs, most people take specific medicines for specific ailments, and they follow doctor's orders.
But an estimated 20% of people in the United States use prescription drugs for non-medical reasons. Here in Utah, that percentage is even higher. Mike Hedrick now with more on this hidden epidemic.
Per capita, Utah has one of the highest death rates in the country linked to prescription drugs. In an attempt to find out why, we sat down with doctors, a former addict, and the family of one young man who lost his life to prescription drugs.
This picture right here is actually my favorite picture.
If you never had the chance to rub shoulders with Josh Kresser,
He had the ability to put a smile on anyone's face.
those who knew him are convinced you probably missed out.
He was a wonderful, outgoing, caring, compassionate young man.
Unfortunately, along with the countless number of good qualities that Josh possessed, there was a dark and ominous shadow
And it was so powerful that it literally took over his life.
in which he could not seem to escape. At the age of 25, Josh overdosed on prescription drugs. He died just hours later. A tragic end to an addiction that he would never overcome. Born and raised in Utah, Josh grew up alongside his twin brother. He lived a good life in a good family. But after graduating high school and getting a job at a local restaurant,
He hurt his back at work.
Josh needed major surgery on his spine. The doctor originally prescribed the painkiller methadone, but eventually put Josh on OxyContin. His addiction would soon begin.
4 days after Josh got the prescription of OxyContin, he overdosed for the very first time.
For the next 2.5 years, Josh would become a slave to prescription drugs, and finding the high was not a difficult task, as he often faked injury or illness and hobbled into emergency rooms across the valley. Each time, Josh walked away with a new prescription to feed his addiction.
He was very good at convincing people that he was in pain. In his mind, he had a legitimate excuse that his back was bothering him.
5 different times, Josh overdosed on prescription drugs. He spent time in detox and rehab. And his parents say even when some physicians knew about Josh's addiction,
This doctor ignored all of that,
they continued to fill out prescriptions.
and I was so angry, thinking, here is this doctor who was supposed to be helping my son, and he has relapsed him.
Much more free prescribing by physicians as a whole.
Dr. Elizabeth Howell is an associate professor of psychiatry at the University of Utah and also blames careless physicians for contributing to the drug problem here in Utah. She says in many cases, doctors are naive, prescribing larger quantities for longer periods of time.
Very little knowledge about the dangers of addiction among the professionals.
Looking at the numbers, in 2007, overdosing on prescription drugs caused more deaths in Utah than auto accidents or illegal drugs. And because these drugs are prescribed by a doctor, Hal says in many cases that prescription alone has a lot of patients believing there are no dangers associated with it.
A couple pills at a time at first just to take it away.
Was there a day that went by that you weren't taking?
I couldn't.
Her name is Jessie, and for the past 6 years, she has spent a majority of her life on a prescription high. She faked injury to get drugs. She stole money to get drugs. And there were many times this young woman did things that she thought she would never do just to get prescription drugs.
I eventually had to sleep with people, sleep with dealers' wives. I still owe lots of money to people, and I can never pay that.
Jessie hit rock bottom, and the reality is that's what it took to change. She cut ties with old friends, entered rehab, and for the past 10 months has stayed clean. Do you feel this is something you're going to be battling the rest of your life?
Yes, I know it is. I know it is.
A battle she is determined to win, and a battle that unfortunately
We kept believing that he would get better.
often ends like it did for Josh Kresser. His story, no different than the thousands killed from overdosing on prescription drugs each year. The answer, his family believes, is education, not just for those whom the drugs are prescribed,
It gets a hold of them by the throat, and it doesn't let them go.
but also for the doctors who prescribe them.
And I think that's the frightening thing, because I think that everybody is underestimating the power of these drugs.
The Kresser family has set up an endowment in Josh's name at the University of Utah. The gift will go towards the treatment of a patient addicted to prescription drugs between the ages of 18 and 25. Back to you.
All right, Mike, thanks.